indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So everybody's on the same page. Right now, we're in a special meeting. Immediately after the special meeting, we're going to go into our organizational meeting. So we got the policy that you guys got in your board packets. Adoption. According to our policy number 208, section 4, item C. I'll read this so it's all legal. In the case of an emergency, a new or modified policy may be adopted by a majority vote of a quorum of the school board. A statement regarding the emergency and the need for immediate adoption of the policy shall be included in the minutes. The emergency policy shall expire within 1 year of the following 1 year following the emergency action unless the policy adoption procedure stated above is followed by the policy and the policy is reaffirmed. The school board shall have discretion to determine what constitutes an emergency situation. And the above is the normal reading of the policy a few times and all that. So everybody knows, we've gotten a letter from OSHA declaring that by the 10th, that we need to have a policy on hand and in place regarding vaccination and testing and face covering and all that stuff. So we have two policies that you guys were presented with, one from Rupp Anderson and Squires, and the other one was from MSBA. Christine, would you like the floor?
Yes, thank you. So as you, I'm sure have read, they're very, very similar in language. However, there's one caveat that I need to point out tonight, and that is in the MSBA policy, they still state that quarantine is 10 days. The CDC has come forward with quarantine of 5 days, and that's what we need to go with. So if we were to go with the model policy from MSBA, I'm strongly recommending that we change that 10-day quarantine to 5 days so that we can have staff back in school as soon as possible. I wonder if they just had that in prior to the CDC making the update and missed it. It's the only thing I can think of because they generally don't go more conservative than what the CDC does. And this also in the policy, I believe, will allow us to, if right now everyone may or may not know, the Supreme Court has this case in front of them to determine if they'll continue to stay. They haven't acted on it yet, therefore that's why today we're here. If the Supreme Court continues the stay, we don't have to have this policy implemented. We can just continue doing what we're doing currently. If the Supreme Court doesn't, then we will continue to follow this. I can tell you that many businesses are in the process of litigation against this because they don't want to implement this. So if that were to turn it over where some other court were to say, yes, you no longer can do this, we would change it at that point too.
Well, you guys want some discussion? I have questions. I read it, but I'm not 100% sure. So in either of these policy, who pays for the tests?
We will supply tests. And we have ESSER dollars, FIN 150 that allow, I think it's 150 that allows for PPE equipment tests and such. So we would have tests on site. Now, if a person goes and buys we're not obligated to pay for a test. So if a person decides to go on their own to a Walgreens, we wouldn't be obligated to reimburse them in any way. But we have them on site to give.
Okay. That leads me to the next question. What happens if a test isn't available?
Great question.
I
I
mean,
don't have an
do we
answer.
say they can't come to work? Is that what it says?
According to what it says, from what we read, and I sat in an hour webinar today with MSBA and the attorney for that, they use a different law firm than what we do. And on February 9th, if a person refuses, now that's the word, refuses to test, they are not allowed in school buildings. Now, refusing to test and unable to get a test to me are two different things. And I would venture to guess that we would be allowed to continue having a person, because it's not their fault, nor is it ours, then we need people to work. Obviously.
There are other places too, Randy, to get tested. I mean,
Well-
you can go to Walgreens or Coburn's. Or
Yeah,
those
18
types
months
of
ago, I couldn't get a roll of butt wipe. This is a lot more complicated than a roll of butt wipe, so. I just want to know that this 208 policy would allow us to redact this if that would happen, and they said that they can't come to work. That we could have an emergency school board meeting
Oh,
and
yeah.
change it.
Mhm.
You know, that's one of my worries. I mean, I can only imagine if every business people have to start testing, I imagine that they're just not gonna be around. I mean,
We do have several on hand.
okay,
That would help us. And here's the thing, I'm just gonna make a prediction, but it could be totally wrong. It's very possible that this goes into effect here for this week or so, and then it goes away via other mechanisms legally, so it might not even have to get to that February point. I don't know, good question.
Randy, if the policy changes, which it has already, as far as in discussion, can we just add a codicil to the policy and say, well, instead of 5 days, it's now 7-day mandate of staying away, or those types of things that could happen? Can we just add that to the policy at that time? Or do we have to,
I would-
dissipate? that
I would
entire
urge
policy?
not changing it without legal.
Advice,
Legal
no, that's
advice,
why I'm
yeah.
asking, is, can you do that? I don't know, I'm asking.
Well, yeah.
I would recommend as well that if we get to a situation, because it may not happen here first, it could likely happen elsewhere. And if they run into a situation where they can't get tests, these groups are gonna come together and address that situation, so we might be able to just learn from what they do. We might not necessarily be the first.
I can tell you from the state level, at our joint force headquarters, we've had that issue already, where we've had the mandatory testing for our technicians that have had to be vaccinated and in their process of doing it, and we couldn't get tests, so we didn't test. They still came to work and did everything else, and then once we got tests, we implemented that back in the governor's office.
Common sense.
Great.
That's the problem with policy, though. Sometimes common sense leaves the building, so. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, so the one, just something that a little bit bothered me was, so if the employee is getting their vaccination, right, they're up to, can get, what is it, 2 days, a day, so if they feel the effects after.
Yeah, sickness. too.
Right, so in the policy, it stated that if this person does not have, right, so regardless, we have to give them 2 days. But if they don't have any vacation or sick, we still give them 2 days, but if they do, they have to use their vacation or sick time. I don't know, that seemed, it seemed a little unfair that the employees that had sick time had to burn it, but then those that maybe for some reason or another had it all gone, they just get it. I don't know, to me, it would feel more fair, to find that term right these days, but it would be, I guess I would just almost, I'm wondering if we should consider if they go in, they feel effects, you get 2 days.
Regard, not have to use your.
Mhm.
I wonder about that myself. I don't understand how all sick time thing works. So.
They get a sum right at the beginning of the year, and if you lose it, right, if you've gone through it for whatever reason, at the time you try to get vaccinated and you end up getting sick from it, or they decide to, right? We were obligated to give them up to 2 days of paid.
Where I could see it could run into an issue would be, let's say you have a new employee, so they don't have much sick time, they don't have anything. They already had COVID, So they had to be out for 10 days, because we're only down to 5 days now.
Mhm.
That's used up most of it, or all of it. Or they only have 2 days left, and they have to burn those 2 days for this, and then they get some other illness, or their child gets sick or something, they're out.
Well, this is my suggestion with this policy. We need to implement something tonight. It's probably not gonna be perfect, but we need to implement something tonight, and I would suggest it goes through goes right from here into the regular policy. Probably wait till after, I don't know, another week, maybe the Supreme Court will throw it out, and then I'll just dissolve in a year, but just so all the board members know, Christine, do you want to tell them what the fines are?
Yeah.
Just
Cause it's big.
because I read the Benton County's commissioners minutes, and they actually had a couple commissioners that voted against it, knowing what the fines are. The fines are pretty big, but they voted against it and the idea to save employees. Their projected cost is $4 million a year in fines.
It's what, 14,000 and 136,000.
So here's what,
13.9, and yeah, but ours aren't as big here as they are at the county level, so I don't get how they're not the same, but whatever.
well, maybe it's, I don't know. So
Yeah.
here's what I was told today in our webinar. So a non-serious infraction can cost up to $7,000. Failure to correct an infraction can be cited up to $7,000 per day. Willful and repeated violations could be cited up to $70,000 per infraction.
And this is per person,
It's
correct?
per infraction,
Per
so
report,
yes, that can be
per
down
person
to
per day.
per day. So that's probably why they're getting the. on the other there.
Come in and see 10 people not doing what they're supposed to.
Right.
So I don't mind the policy. I don't like the policy, but I don't like OSHA and telling us that we have to do this either, but as long as we're paying for the tests, and if we can't get tests, we don't terminate somebody. Like them are the two big ones.
Clear,
I do have one other question.
we aren't paying for the tests though, right? We have
Oh,
some,
we have them on file. We'll order more as we need them.
right, and those come free from the state, right?
Well,
So far,
yeah, but even if we have to pay for them, we still have that same one, I think it's 150 that we can go ahead and utilize for PPE equipment and testing. It was designed for that. So I think if it's the case though, if someone goes out and purchases their own test and doesn't, we're not under any obligation to reimburse them for that test. Yeah.
So I have one last question. How many people does administration feel we will lose due to this?
I don't know that, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. Right now we have about 200 employees. Now, keep in mind, employees does not include volunteers, does not include visitors. So it's any paid person. So for example, coaches, assistant coaches that maybe don't teach here, they're still considered an employee, so they're on the list. Somebody who keeps clock, a basketball game, if they're not employed here, they're still considered an employee at that point, and they have to follow this process. So we average about 200 employees is on our list. We are probably, we're looking at probably less than half that are, or more than half that will probably have to do this kind of stuff. I don't know.
Who keeps track of it?
We have a process in place. I had to have this in place, and we got it set last week. Well, we had the process, we knew what we were gonna do about a month ago because we tried to be prepared. So our nurse has a list of people and has the vaccination proof. We don't give that to other people. It's not their purview to know that. And then even like direct supervisors won't know that information but they will know, like, if you have to say if a person has to wear a mask, just let me know. They can't know why. Right? So that's that process. And we're obligated to keep the list. We're obligated to keep the proof. We're obligated to keep that in a file separate from personnel files. So if OSHA ever comes and asks us, and I found this out as well today, we have to provide them this information within 4 hours, not even 24 hours. So if they want to know your aggregate list, we have to provide them an aggregate list.
Part of it. Hope the power don't go out.
So, yeah, it's one more hoop to jump through.
Any other questions?
So how much more do we have to fill in on 491 here? Because there's a lot in there that says insert how the school does this.
Well, my question would be, do you want to use that one or do you want to use the one from the attorney? The one
I'd
from-
rather use one from the attorney.
Okay, good, because that one has the 5 days and we
Two.
don't have to negotiate. That, I appreciate that. I don't think with the attorneys, we have that much to
There's just
to
like a
fix.
very
Correct. That one I think is.
email
is
address.
The easiest.
It's a
So
little easier.
The
Yeah, I
question
think
I
so.
have then is, if somebody, if they go out for 5 days and they come back, who is making sure that they're doing the mask for the 5 days once they come back?
Yeah, that we let them know that and then their direct supervisor with ensures masking is followed.
Okay.
I do too. And, you know, it's pretty challenging to, I'm not gonna like go around a police, you know. I don't want us to, it's not gonna be a heavy handed. It just can't be, it doesn't feel right to me. We'll just,
Well, the hard part is though, at that point, they've been positive,
mhm.
so there is a reason for the mask, where an everyday mask for any reason, and
I
you know, that's what is pushed back on most.
Will they be able to stay out longer if they're symptomatic?
Oh, yeah, if they're still sick, they can stay home.
But they can stay out for 10 days. Or they can stay out for 5 days,
Right.
and they get a call from our COVID team, I'm assuming, and saying, hey, your 5 days is up.
Yeah.
If you're not
if
symptomatic,
Or
then
your fever is no longer, if you
Yep.
don't have a fever and all of that.
Yeah,
you
I've
come
seen
back.
that somewhere.
Yep.
Did I read somewhere, was it in the MSBA one or the, I don't know what we're gonna call the other one? The attorney, that after somebody had tested positive, there was a time period.
They
then?
don't test. So if you test positive, so say you test positive on Monday, you're out your 5 days, you come back to work the following Monday. You will not test for 90 days. That's worse. And so, and you won't test, they won't give it to you, they won't ask for it, nothing for 90 days, because that's when they don't even let you vaccinate them. That's why they're not testing them. And as for accommodations, I'll add my contact information if someone needs accommodations. It's important to remember too, that it's an accommodation, not an exception or exemption. So if a person comes in with a problem, we have to work through that case by case basis and determine what accommodations can be made.
Does the school nurse do that then?
No,
Are they-
HR and myself. will do that.
HR
The
people do?
accommodation piece to be HR
Okay.
and myself.
Just.
The nurse is the
wondering,
record keeper because it's a health
Mhm.
situation. Otherwise, like principals don't have access to the list.
No,
Other
I would assume
directors,
not.
but yeah, just HR. So.
So. I'm afraid to ask this question. Okay, so I realize that all of our employees are not teachers. However, if we have somebody that has a positive test and is asymptomatic, is there a chance that they could remote teach? If they wanted to?
We haven't accommodated that as of yet because so far we've been able to cover classes. I hesitate in that, that too is like a case by case. If we get to a situation where we really need to figure out and be creative on how to ensure we have coverage, that might be something we entertain, but for right now, we haven't done that yet.
I mean, it's hard to be the bus driver and do it remotely.
Exactly.
It's hard to be the lunch lady and do it remotely, but it is possible, and if it makes a difference of whether.
And if we need to, if we can't find a sub, we may
Yeah.
be at that position. I'll tell you, if I have a principal out, I may be having them be remote on meetings and, you know, some of that still has to happen.
And I don't know if that's that's not treating all employees the same, but I mean, it's really hard to drive a bus remotely. I mean,
But not all jobs are the same, and so
Yeah.
they're.
I do have one question. Randy kind of hit on it a little bit, knowing who this would all affect as far as testing and that, but so we have some time here, you know, from when we approve it to when like they have to be fully vaccinated or we have to start the testing. I would just ask that as we find out if people do leave the district, that we just get some contingency plans in place to know, let's say we lose 5 teachers and 3 paras or lunch people or whatever that might be, that we just kind of have something in place to know how we're gonna try to cover.
Yeah, that's a great point. One thing,
Possibility that happens.
We had to do it at my job. That's when this all started. We had to have 3 layers deep of knowing if this, and this person have to go out or leave, or how do we.
so here's the other point of contention. The masking starts today. The only thing we don't have to do is testing. Now, we're gonna start let people know that it's available. If they don't do it, we won't make them do it until February 9th. But we thought we'd get the process started right away, because I don't wanna wait till the last minute and then people not coming and test if they already have it in process, but the masking starts today. So, that and this policy was today, and letting our nurse know what's there, so,
So tomorrow, unvaccinated teachers will need to wear a mask,
yeah, even today.
Today they were
most were,
supposed to.
yeah.
even though it's in state.
Yeah, today, I didn't push it so hard because I wanted the
It's not in
policy
state right
approved.
now.
It isn't?
No, because they haven't
'Cause
done
they
No.
didn't rule on it.
They haven't
It's
made a
stay Until the
decision.
7th,
only if they say something.
yeah. Well, they kind of dropping the ball, but you know, they're all old, so. And they move slower than other people. I honestly, there's, you know how many rooms that are 20 by 20 and across this country are going through
Oh,
this
yeah.
because they can't
Oh,
get their work done?
Um,
It's awful.
What's being communicated to the kids?
Yeah, great question. We haven't really put anything out to the kids about it. Just if their teacher happens to see them, I mean, they're not gonna know if their teacher's testing or not. They're not gonna know.
No, but they've seen the mask.
Yeah. Well, and some have already been wearing masks. We don't have all, we have teachers in masks. And have had all year. We have kids in masks all year.
All right. Well, I'm gonna move that we adopt the Rupp Anderson Squares and Waldsberger PA version of this policy. We should give it a number. What's the?
Do you want to give
Well,
it?
it should be
Is it-
491.
yeah,
That's
we-
what
Yes,
MSBA
it should
uses.
be.
Yeah.
And that should be the number we should give it.
I'll second.
All right, now we move on to more discussion. Is everybody okay with this version of the, is somebody dissent? Because I'm not really stuck on it,
I'm not either. I mean, I know that people really resent being told what to do. I mean, we live in an agrarian community and we're very independent folks. But I also can see that it's a necessary evil for right now. But I hope it doesn't have to be in place long. That's it.
and I wouldn't be opposed to, if the Supreme Court rules against it, I wouldn't be opposed to repealing it right away and not letting the year.
Oh,
Run
yes.
out.
Oh, yeah, I
Yes.
wouldn't know. I
You know,
wouldn't either. I'd call a special meeting
sometimes-
to do it. Yeah.
Sometimes I think that it seems like an end run to, that OSHA's pushing it so that you get the policies in place and then, so I don't think we can afford to pay the fines.
No.
And I think it's trying to meet the employees halfway by saying they'll pay for the testing.
Do we want to add a caveat about giving 2 days for those that get vaccinated versus having them use their sick time? I can do a language
I had a
change.
horrible
I think-
reaction to my 3rd vaccination. And high temp and I was down for a day and a half for sure, almost 2 full days. So
I'm just
I don't
thinking we
know.
have a policy meeting on the 12th, so maybe if we can approve this tonight, whichever version we're gonna approve, then we can add that stuff on Wednesday, and then it'll be,
That way,
Represent
I
it.
really hesitate to add something without it going through the legal.
Mhm. Mhm.
we need the time.
I wouldn't, I know in a normal circumstance, I wouldn't approve it with it the way it is, but being that we're, 24 hours late on this already. I don't need them showing up and asking for your list in 4 hours and where's your policy tomorrow, so. There any other discussion? This meeting somewhere. It was moved by Director Hackett and seconded by Director
Understood.
what?
Hofstad.
Hofstad. To approve the Squares, Rupp Anderson Squares and Waltzberger version of 491. Included in our board packet. All in favor, say aye.
I,
All opposed? And all abstain. Motion passes 600. Policy number 491. The Rupp Anderson Squares and Waltzberger version of it in our packet is approved because of the emergency conditions of OSHA mandating that we have a policy by the 10th. And that is in accordance with our school district policy number 208. Somebody want to move to adjourn the meeting?
motion.
Excuse me, what about 208? We don't have to bother with that then, or
That's
it's just a reference?
Yeah.
Okay.
that's what allows us to put that policy into place without the normal readings that we do in normally do a review. It
Okay. Thank you.
was moved by Director Bauman and seconded by Director
Garrett's.
Garrett's to adjourn the meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All abstain. Motion passes 600. Meeting adjourned at 6:27. All right, that one's done. All right. I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 6:27. We did the pledge already, so we'll just go with that. Roll call. Let the record reflect all directors are here and accounted for. Looking for approval of agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Is moved by Director Garrett and seconded by Director Bauman to approve the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All abstain. Motion passes 600. Okay, election of officers. I'm just an acting chairperson right now, so I can run this meeting. So, is there any nominations for the chair?
I'd like to nominate Russ Garrett. Maybe that's solid first. And no offense to you, by the way, but I really believe that when you're on a board, you should switch those positions once in a while. Because it's very good experience for each and every one of you. And that's the old teacher in me, so. And Randy, you do a great job, but I think Russ might too.
Is there any other nominations?
Can I?
I don't think you can decline.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't mind seeing a newer person take it myself, but.
Any other nominations?
I'll make a nomination for Ryan Hofstad.
All right.
I'm good being the clerk.
We don't all get what we want, I guess.
Yeah.
Any other nominations?
We do more than one. I'll nominate Randy too.
Now you're just muddying the water.
Water, yeah, yeah.
Any other nominations? All right, how are we gonna do this then? Yeah, we have to take a vote. All right, this is all we're gonna do. We're just gonna raise our hands, whatever, you know. So you got to vote. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? I think I gotta legally say it 3 times, right? So, all right, so we got Garrett's, Hofstad, and Hackett. All right, do them. Garrett's, Hackett, and Hofstad. We gotta do them alphabetically. You know, you guys got allowed 1 vote. Anybody caught voting twice is gonna be doing the dishes.
$7,000 penalty.
That's another time, right?
All right. If you're for Director Garrett's, raise your hand.
Well.
All right, we have a new chairman. Director Garrett's, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You get to run the rest of the week.
All right, well, thank you.
I knew it was.
So the next position, so Randy, you gotta help me, I should grab this document. We talked about Chairperson.
Yeah.
So election of officers, we are on vice president, or vice chairperson, excuse me, vice chairperson. Any nominations for vice chairperson?
I would like to nominate Tyra Bauman.
All right. Any other nominations for chairperson, for vice chairperson, excuse me?
Anybody else want vice chair?
Nobody's jumping out
Nobody's
of the
saying,
chair.
you have to legally ask 3 times.
Right, any other nominations for vice chairperson? All right,
You can designate her if there's no other job.
so I can just say,
Mhm.
what do I say, vice chairperson, congratulations, vice chairperson Bauman.
Oh, thanks.
Second, or the C, election of officers clerk.
I'd like to nominate Ryan Hofstad.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Any other nominations for clerk? Any other nominations for clerk? All right, congratulations, Clerk Hofstad. Any, last position, election of officers for treasurer. Any nominations for treasurer?
I'll nominate Angela.
Who's currently the treasurer? You? Okay, how about that we nominate Angela? Would you be willing? I'll make that nomination.
Any other nominations for treasurer? Final call, any nomination, other nominations for treasurer? All right, congratulations, Treasurer Roaring. Item 6, organizational action items, scheduling of regular meetings, time and dates. This past year, the board held 12 regular meetings. The board has routinely scheduled special meetings for board self-evaluation, superintendent evaluation, contract negotiations, and other occasions as needed. Work sessions are also scheduled as needed. Previously, the board has met on the 4th Monday of the month at 6 p.m. We cannot hold meetings meeting on legal holidays. Agendas have been sent out on the Wednesday or prior to the regular meetings. I think if we look at our calendar that, Michelle, I don't know if we have any challenges on any of our
If
Mondays.
we continue with the 4th Monday, the only month would be December because that is Christmas. But I think we usually do that one earlier because of the truth and taxation. But if somebody wants to double check, but I,
February 21st, right?
No, 28.
28th. Oh, I don't know how to count. That's right.
so I think that was the only, if somebody else wants to just maybe double check. And if that works with everybody.
Can we just make that December is the 12th? For the truth and taxation one?
Yeah, then we can do.
If we
both,
can.
but usually it's-
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Fourth Monday, except it'll be the second Monday in December.
What is July? It is.
July 24th.
No, I'm getting married.
Oh, you're doing Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday is okay. but-
24th, 28th,
Although I don't join
March
at
20th.
home or something. I don't know. Just look at your- We don't have that all figured out. yet.
25th, 23rd, June 7th, July 5th, August 22nd, September 26th, October 24th, November 28th, and December, we said the 12th. And that day meets in time for truth and taxation. I think you just have to make sure we communicate it with the county, right?
Yeah. And we should communicate with our own staff that should have a concert to.
Yeah,
conflict with
I'll
that.
work with Tony, I'll work with Tony on that.
Good point.
That's for sure.
So to review, the regular meeting time will be at 6 p.m. and the 2022 dates for January will be January 24th, February 28th, March 28th, April 25th, May 23rd, June 27th, July 25th, August 22nd, September 26th, October 24th, November 28th, and December 12th. I will look for a motion to approve the regular meeting time and dates.
So, I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All right, this motion to approve regular meeting dates and times, this motion was made by Hofstad. Did you say something ahead of that? Member? Moved by Director Hofstad, thank you. Moved by Director Hofstad and seconded by Director Hackett. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Motion carries 6-0-0. 6B, compensation for directors. Current compensation for regular board meetings, special meetings, committees, and other meetings is set to $50. The chairperson receives an extra $300 a year stipend. Anybody have discussion on this topic?
Can I raise something? So from a payroll perspective, the having you do it by meeting can be a little bit challenging if she's not made aware of it. You may not get your pay right away. It might be something to consider, and I know several other boards that do it this way. They just get paid a stipend, an annual stipend. You can get paid twice a year or once a year. But it is much easier just to know that either twice a year, December and June, you get your stipend. Just something to consider. Otherwise, we have to track meetings, we have to turn in, submit in basically a time card, and it just kind of gets.
I'd move that
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
if I knew what dollar amount to put in there. I will tell you that my first year as a director, we had to fill out timesheets my first few years. My first couple of years as a director ended up being about $3,800 4,000, somewhere in there. And then we kind of cut the rates. And I don't know, the last couple of years, it's been $1,200 to $1,500. I don't know if you guys has been about the same
Or less.
or less.
Mhm.
I'm trying to figure out what I would say here, and I've been hemming and hawing on it. And I called a couple past presidents, talked to them, and I came up with the $2,500. The cost of administrating the paycheck shouldn't be more than what the paycheck is. So, I don't know. I'm gonna move that. I'm gonna make that a formal motion that we just do a $2,500 stipend with a $500 a year for the chairman extra.
I don't think anybody's here to do it for the money, Randy, obviously. I mean, this isn't like, this is an honor, and that's kind of how I feel. So
I wasn't gonna do it until I decided I was gonna be done with this,
mhm.
but I know it feels right now, so.
Okay, no, I don't necessarily disagree, but I'm not going yay, yay either, so.
Meaning what, Mary?
Meaning that I don't care if we got paid at all. How's that? I mean, seriously, because we're here to represent the community that we serve. And I don't usually expect to get paid when I'm doing that. That's all. I mean, one of our payroll people came up to me and said, well, you go to these meetings and I haven't been paying you. And I said, I don't care. And she looked at me like I was out of my mind. But I'm not out of my mind. I just really don't care. So, if you want to take that 2,500 and throw it to some other child or for the care of someone here, do it. I really don't need to be paid. Now, I'm old, I'm retired, and I've got enough money. Okay. So that puts me in a unique position.
This
But-
isn't about the money.
No, it isn't. It isn't about the money, but it's just one of those things that I think we made mistakes when we started paying people to hold public offices. That's all.
Do we have any idea what other, I haven't looked, and I should have looked
They
at what
get
other
quite a bit more
districts.
than
Yeah, the couple that talked about it during our MSBA breakout were at 3,800 a year.
yes.
And
that's
they
all.
were at bigger schools, obviously, but still doing the same thing.
That's been my experience as well.
So I do believe Randy has a motion on the floor, right, to $2,500 a year stipend with the extra 500 to the chairperson. Do you want to add to your motion, like you're gonna pay it twice a year, once
Yeah,
a year?
sure, twice a year.
To be paid twice a year?
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Do you want to name the months?
February, November. I don't know. Well, what's the best for payroll?
December, I just feel
June
like
and
it should be
December
December and
usually,
June,
yeah.
your end of the year and your end of
All
the
right,
fiscal
December
year.
and June. I don't know.
I don't know, Amy's not here, so I
June
can't
and
answer.
December?
I'll second.
So it's been motioned by Director Hackett, seconded by Director Hofstad. Is there other discussion? Okay, hearing none. The motion to approve compensation for meetings, $2,500 a year, $500 extra to be paid to the chairperson. The stipend will be paid 2 times a year in June and December. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed
Me,
and abstain. Motion passes 5-1-0. C, naming of official depositories for district funds. Description Scott Marine, Pine Country Bank, Minnesota Minnesota School District Liquid Asset Funds and MN Trust MPA as official depositories for the Royalton School District funds.
So moved.
So there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I just listen usually.
It's like driving a car.
With no brakes.
Yeah, exactly. It's a train wreck.
Down the hill, curves ahead.
Icy road.
There you go.
So a motion to approve Scott Marine to be district official repositories for the district. Motion made by Director Hackett, seconded by Director Lane.
Right, it's
Lane,
okay.
excuse me.
Sorry.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Motion passes 6-0-0. D, investment for funds. Scott Marine Business Manager invest funds on behalf of Royalton School District.
Motion.
Bauman. Is there a second?
Second.
Lane. Motion to approve Scott Lane Business Manager investment funds. This motion was made by Director Bauman, seconded by Director Lane. Ugh. I'm sorry, Mary. Lane. I keep saying-
Lang as in bang, lang. you know,
Seconded by Director Lane.
shove it to me.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Motion passes 6-0-0-0. Annual delegation of authority to make electronic funds transfer. The auditor requires the board to designate someone to make electronic funds transfer. The business manager has been assigned to do this in the past.
So moved.
This motion is to approve Scott Marine as the business manager to make electronic funds transfer. This motion was made by Director Hackett,
Second. Good.
seconded by Director Bauman. Any discussion? Motion to approve Scott Marine Business Manager to the electronic fund transfer. This motion was made by Director Hackett, seconded by Director Bauman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passed 6-0-0. Item F, naming of the official newspaper. Name the Morrison County Record as the official newspaper. I'll take a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Director Bauman,
I'll second it for discussion.
seconded by Director Hackett. Motion to approve Morrison County Record as the official newspaper. This motion was made by Director Bauman, seconded by Director Hackett. Discussion, Director Hackett.
Do we have any other choice? I mean,
I don't know, if
Yeah.
locally you would use.
it has to have circulation that's so big and stuff. I just,
Well, it's special for your closest, and it's not worth it.
And we tried St. Cloud Times at one time,
And
too
now we did
expensive
Signal
and
Herald
didn't get to.
towards
the
Sauk Rapids.
people, so.
They don't-
yeah.
I don't know either. Are they big enough?
I don't think so.
I just have a question.
And
All right, call question.
Motion to approve Morrison County Record as the official newspaper. Motion was made by Director Bauman, seconded by Director Hackett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried 6-0-0-0. Name of legal counsel, name Rupp, Anderson, Squires, and Walsberger, PA as the official law firm to the district.
I like motion.
Dr. Hofstad. I'll second it. Motion to approve Rupp, Anderson, Squires, and Walsberger, PA as the official law firm of the district. Motion was made by Director Hofstad, seconded by Director Garretts. Any discussion? Do we have, I mean, we obviously have options for this, right? Or how does that work?
Well, we've been using them for quite some time. They just hadn't done that officially at the board table, at least in the last couple of years. And we really should do that as a board. There is another one that's MSBA's law firm, Ratwick. But we have such a relationship with them, I'd like to continue that.
Okay, so the motion was made to approve Rupp Anderson, Squires and Walsberger. Motion was made by Director Hofstad, seconded by Director Garrett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All abstain? Motion passes 6-0-0. Naming of the representative and committee members. Oh, it's my favorite part.
So I have a question. How much does this need to change? Right? And the reason I'm asking is
Do a consent agenda. and
Right.
all that.
can we, nope, are there any? that-
I'm changing.
So you'll find this interesting, but I was reading some organizational meetings on other school districts. It's proper for the chairman to name people to the position. It's not what we've done in the past, but some of them do that, where the chairman just names people, but
How long did they live after they? did
I don't know.
that?
It's just the minutes. I didn't read the next months.
Yeah.
They weren't there anymore. But I would agree with Ryan.
I'm just looking at, so some of you have been on here for a little while longer. Some of us, this is our first year, so it was our first try, and some of us haven't even done, like, we're gonna do non-union negotiations. That hasn't happened yet, and it's been a year. So we haven't even gotten the opportunity to do that yet. So if we keep them the same for these 2 years, and then, look at next January to switch them out.
I
Because we'll
know,
have new board members and stuff at that
I
point.
think that's a really good idea, because you're just getting the feel of some of these things, and then, to switch it out, it's kind of difficult.
my only question is, and I just know this because I was treasurer, that you should be on the finance, which Angela, you are. But are there any other positions like that, that if you hold one of them, you should, but
On the finance committee, for example.
yeah,
Yeah.
like if you're the
So
treasurer.
that
you
would
should-
make some sense.
Right,
If
I
she-
just don't know
if-
if, like,
if
any
Angela's
of the
open to
other-
that,
she's on it already.
Oh, she's on already.
I just don't know if there's any
Yeah,
other
sorry.
positions that would maybe.
I
that make
think
sense.
the chairman should be on all committees.
Oh, now you say
We're
that.
just gonna go through names then.
Uh-huh.
But otherwise, I agree, keeping.
Well,
them
why don't you
works
just
for
ask the
me.
people if they want to stay on that position or not, and if somebody else wants it, they're welcome to it. Would that work without, just to expedite this for time, otherwise you're gonna be going through everyone.
Well, can we do, as kind of Ryan proposed, do a consent? But in, like you said, look at, then kind of to combine with Mary, is there anybody that wants to not be on one that they're assigned to currently?
Do we need to have the American Indian
No,
listed? Okay,
so actually, that's a committee that is theirs and to be run by them.
Okay,
And we
yeah,
are there
perfect.
as support, and if they don't want us there, we aren't to be there. That's very,
Good question.
yeah, great.
It's just- it wasn't listed.
I move to leave all the representatives and committee members the same as last year by unanimous ballot.
Is there a second?
Second.
So there's been a motion made. Randy, just to make sure I paraphrase right, there's been a, Director Hackett has made a motion to approve the committee representatives as presented in 2021 to move ahead into 2022. Any discussion on that? All right, so just to go over it again, Director Hackett has made a motion to approve the committee representatives. As you see on this piece of paper, it was the same. It was in 2021. It'll be carried over into 2022. Seconded by Director Hofstad. All in favor, say aye.
I
Just point it
Chair,
just-
just a point of order. maybe you should list these quickly, just say who and what, so that not only do we know it, but the public knows it.
Sure, I can do that.
Yeah.
So to be clear, the committee representatives, Bola City Council will be represented Director Mary Lang, Curriculum, Russ Garretts and Angela Roaring, Facilities, Tyra Bauman, Ryan Hofstad, Finance Committee, Tyra Bauman, Russ Garretts, Angela Roaring, Health and Safety, Tyra Bauman, alternate Angela Roaring. Oh. Labor Management, Russ Garretts, alternate Randy Hackett. Legislative Liaison, Mary Lane, Randy Hackett. Meet and confer, Russ Garretts, alternate Randy Hackett. Mid-State Education District, Mary Lane, alternate Randy Hackett. Minnesota High School League, Tyra Bauman, alternate Ryan Hofstad. Non-union employee negotiations, Tyra Bauman and Ryan Hofstad. Para RESPA negotiations, Russ Garretts and Mary Lane. Policy review, Randy Hackett, Ryan Hofstad, Mary Lane. Principal negotiations, Russ Garretts, Angela Roaring. Royalton City Council meetings, Russ Garretts, alternate Tyra Bauman. Schools for Equity in Education, Russ Garretts, Randy Hackett. ASME negotiations, Russ Garretts, Randy Hackett. Sourcewell, Russ Garretts, alternate Randy Hackett. Staff Development, Ryan Hofstad, Angela Roaring. Strategic Planning Committee, World's Best Workforce, Russ Garretts, Angela Roaring. Superintendent negotiations, Ryan Hofstad, Mary Lane, and REM negotiations, Randy Hackett and Angela Roaring.
Thank you.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes 6-0-0. That was quick. What does it bring us to then?
Number 7.
Which one?
Number 7. That page.
Other organizational action items. Director Hackett.
Yeah, so for board members that are now officers, there's officer training coming up and the deadline is coming up for the online stuff. So I've done this before. This is a good deal. So you went with me that one time, right, Russ?
I did.
Yeah, it's a good deal. So
They're all still virtual.
they're taking registration for one that's not, but they don't have a time or a date
Mhm.
or a place named yet. But the virtual stuff is, you can register for it. It's February 2nd and 3rd from 6 PM to 9 PM, or February 9th and 10th from 6 PM to 9 PM. Well, 6 to 9 and then 9 to noon. That's weird. So I don't know. Or you can wait for the in-person one. But like for chair, it's goes over a lot of stuff.
Yep, I will be attending.
So. And if you're going to do that, just talk to administration. They'll be registered.
All right, other organizational action items.
We have to talk about work sessions. We didn't really do that before, so it wasn't on here.
So what we've been doing is every other month. You want to, or as needed, right?
Right.
So not sure. I do like having them though. They've been helpful, I think.
Do we want to set them specifically now, or do we want to bring them up as they go? For me, it's easier to schedule now, so we can figure that out throughout the year, and they're just scheduled, and if we have to change something, we can.
Just my feeling about them is if we have them and they're that couple of weeks before a regular meeting, it really seems to, seems to really help with that meeting. So I think if we had them every month, I think we'll run out of things to do.
would be nice is if we did start it in March, for example, you could have a work session that talks about the budget revision and then you have the formal meeting. So I like it when you have 2 meetings that talk about the budget stuff. Even if it feels like it's routine every year, it's still really important, I think, to have that discussion time with the public. It's 2 opportunities also then to see that budget. So if we did that, that'd be March, where you run into, you could still do it in May and then actually approve the budget in June. You still have 2 meetings.
Is there a need to have one in February? Obviously, we aren't gonna have one in January, right? I don't know that we're gonna have one in February.
I think March, would be better.
Okay,
I'm thinking.
so March and then,
Unless you want 2 in June. To have the budget the first. As we think about strategic planning, we may need to add work sessions,
right,
depending on how that process goes.
so you're thinking, so it would be March 14th? Because that would be 2 weeks before.
So it sounds like we need to figure these out as we go.
As needed.
That's sort of my preference.
Yep,
But-
and that's fine. I just wanted to bring it up because as we started holding those, if we're gonna do it routinely, then let's do it routinely. But if we're not going to, and we're gonna do it when we need to do it, then we'll just stick them in when we need to do it then. I'm good with that.
I'm good with that, but I also know that people have schedules, so if it's easier to get it on everybody's schedule, I'm okay with that too. Just something, it could be, it doesn't have to be 2 hours long, right? It could be a half hour. it could be-
Well, I think they
I'm holding you to that.
expedite the next meeting. I mean, they make the
I do
next meeting much more easily tolerable, I guess, but it's up to you. I think work sessions are great, but only when you need them. Not when you're just, you're doing them every month, which I think would be an exercise in futility.
And sometimes, you tasked me with making some changes, which is helpful. To have a work session, go make a change, you can still get it done in that same month.
Well, we can at least set the March one, right?
Mhm.
We could say we'll have a work session March 14th at 6 p.m.
And again, we might need that for strategic planning.
Yep. We'll cover the budget.
You have to add it to the-
Okay. So are we amending?
Just a moment.
I will make the motion to add March 14th to a work session, March 14th at 6 p.m.
I'll second.
Motion has been made to add March 14th, 6 p.m. to our meeting as a work session to our meeting schedule. Motion was made by Director Garrett, seconded by Director Bauman. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes 6-0-0.
Are we gonna set our policy and finance committee meetings on this as well?
I would think one of those groups do it themselves outside of this meeting, or but we can.
Well, because last year we did it like at this time, at the end of the meeting, like, hey, does this work for everybody to start doing it here?
Well,
And
we
then
we
I'm
all know
assuming
the
there's no
same,
change.
so don't we just,
We held the same
Keep the
position,
Yep,
so.
so no
Roll with-
change.
I would say probably not, if it's working.
I'm just looking at, as we do this next year, we will have a bunch of changes and we want to capture that.
Oh, got it. I get what you're saying.
So you want it to be in the minutes? Director Hofstad? It's only one way. You make a motion.
Yeah,
So when, I don't even know when your policy meetings are, I'm sorry.
so, yeah, I'll
Wednesday
just
and-
say,
First one.
we'll keep the policy and finance committee meetings at the same time for this next year.
So the policy will be the second Wednesday of every month
Yep.
at 9 a.m. At 09.
I don't know if
Oh,
it's,
900.
at 0900. I don't, so finance, because of some of the instability and the changes there, I don't know that we specifically had a date. It's been during the middle of the day at noon.
Keep it, most likely it's on Tuesdays, but
I think
You wanna say
the
the-
second Tuesday at noon.
Second Tuesday of the month.
At noon. And we're gonna continue those virtual.
Yeah,
Right now, those kind of work out pretty smoothly, I think.
I like it. You want a motion or just,
I made a motion.
you made, so Director
I'll
Hofstad,
second it.
Director Hofstad made a motion, seconded by Director Hackett to have the policy meetings occur on the second Wednesday of every month at 9 AM. And the finance meeting will be scheduled for the second Tuesday at noon of every month. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No who abstain? Motion carries 600. Anything else? Randy, I will accept a.
I'd make a motion to adjourn this meeting. Mr. Chairman. I'll be your best friend.
Thank you, Randy.
I'll second.
Motion by Director Hackett, seconded by Director Bauman to adjourn the meeting at 7:07. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Meeting adjourned.
Nice job.
Good job. Yeah, you didn't expect that, did ya?